Let's be honest, there's no guidebook when it comes to relationships. So we end up having to stumble through life trying to figure things out for ourselves. What if there was a podcast that found the answers for you, that provided insight to build a successful relationship and ultimately find the companionship you've always hoped for? Welcome to the Girls Ask Guys show, where we answer the questions most people are afraid to ask when it comes to lessons in life and love. It's time to master this thing called life together with your hosts, John and Ashely.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, we got you ready for the date. We showed you how you can start effectively flirting. Now we're going to show you how things can go wrong if you're paying attention to the wrong thing.
Yeah, we're literally in the middle of our hyper focus on dating, and we saw this show on Netflix. It's called Love is Blind. So of course, us being the relationship people, we decided to check it out, and we have found so many fucking problems with this show. I mean, we're going to have to probably do a 2-part episode on it.
Yeah, because really what this thing is, they are basing this whole thing off of some psychological studies that were conducted primarily starting back in the 1980s and then working forward. There have literally been over 37 different studies on this one topic alone. Is love blind?
Which is ridiculous.
The very first study that was really done, that really went in and investigated this, was done by 2 researchers, Taylor and Brown. And you can go and look this up for yourself. It's called Illusion of Well-Being, and it's a psychological study on mental health published in the Psychological Bulletin. If you want to get even more exact than that, it's volume 103, issue 2, page 193 to 210.
There we go.
Yeah, so we're not making this stuff up. We actually research and go into this stuff. And when I saw the very first episode and they said some psychologists believe that love is blind and you can fall in love with somebody without ever seeing them.
Absolute nonsense.
This stuff, it goes all the way back to the early 1900s when people were writing pen pals. That was the very first study that was done.
Which, it's just ridiculous to me when I hear it. Now, I will say the hopeless romantic in me finds it completely adorable. But the practical person that I am, I'm like, this is ridiculous. If you haven't seen the show, the premise of the show, like John said, is love blind. So I thought it was a blind dating show, which I thought would be amazing. Right, what is it, like 12, 14?
I think it's 10 and 10, I think.
Okay, so
I'm
10 and 10.
100% sure.
And essentially what they do is they lock them in this weird, like, storage unit type thing, and they make them go around and sort of speed date.
Yeah. And these little pods are completely soundproof. So really, the only person you can hear is the person directly across from you, and you're separated by a very colorful wall.
Right? It's really weird. It's like half glass.
Yeah. It looks comfortable.
It does look like a nice room. I mean, it looks comfortable. It's very well, it's elegantly laid out and everything. The carpets are nice. But the thing is, they're dating. This is my first problem, is that they're dating for hours a day. Yeah.
And according to the research that was done by Taylor and Brown, now I'm only using the last names because that's all I have. I've got the first initial. But according to Taylor and Brown, there's a preconception that people have. And if you are attracted to somebody, whatever faults they may have, your mind fills those in with what you want them to be.
Which isn't technically wrong, because obviously you're attracted to that person, so you want to feel like they're a great person. You don't want them to be a trash bag panda. And unfortunately, some of them turn out to be. But this just means that people need to be on guard when you meet someone. It means you need to go into things objectively, not looking at them saying, oh my gosh, they look like Prince Charming, they must be a perfect person. You need to say, okay, you look like Prince Charming, that's great, but now I'm going to separate that from your personality, and then I'll come up with a common denominator. That's what you need to do.
Yeah. And with these studies that have been done, and there's been over 37 different studies that have gone into this, and they research it from all different points of view. But the Taylor Brown study is primarily the basis that a lot of researchers use because it was so in-depth. And so there's this thing, it's called positive illusion. And that is where you have this idea of what you want, and whatever this person is offering you, that is the direction that you're going to go in. So these people that are coming in, and here's my first problem overall with this entire show, is that these people were not told exactly what the show was about.
I got you. So they were being misled. So that is a very, very bad premise to start something out with. Also, why would you go? you know, like you have no idea what you're doing, but you're like, sure, sign me up. I'll be on TV.
Well, there was a researcher with Entertainment Magazine, or a journalist with Entertainment Magazine, went out and interviewed the creator producer of the show and asked them, so how much do these people know going into it? Now, he specifically stated, the truth is, for these people, when they walked in, they didn't really know what they were walking into. They had a general idea. So they weren't told that, hey, you're going to walk out of here either still single or you're going to be engaged and 30 days after that, you're going to get married.
That's insane. Like, that's my second problem with the show, is that they're putting this on this obscure and borderline obsessive timeline to where they're saying, okay, in the next, I think it's 45 days total or something, you're going to be married. Yeah. So you're going to be married in 45 days. You've never seen this person. You get to talk to them for maybe 6 or 7 hours, and then you decide, oh, we're in love. You've never cooked with them. You've never lived with them. You've never done any of that stuff. But in 45 days, we are going to have a wedding. It just feels very forced and very, very like bossy. And you know what I mean? It's so forced. And I hate that. Right.
And that's one of the problems that I really ran into it is, first off, whoever was casting this was very selective. They found people who were really wanting a relationship and they wanted to get married.
Exactly. They literally, and they actually got pretty good looking people too. So that also, to me, would kind of skew the results, because nobody on that cast is ugly.
Right. There really isn't anybody in there that's like not unattractive or what a lot of people would just call like normal. These people are like just slightly above normal.
Right. They're all at least a 7.
Right. Yeah. There's really no average person in there. But when you're walking in with this, okay, I'm going on a dating show, hopefully I'm going to be able to meet somebody that I can build a relationship with. Okay.
Right.
Your study is, or your quote unquote experiment is already skewed right there. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to pop on these people at the very last second. You're already recording. You're either going to remain single or you're going to get married.
What the I would be like, I got to go.
Yeah. And then you are surrounded by everybody who's of the same thought process.
Right.
Now your study is, or your experiment is really skewed, because now everybody is expecting to find this romantic partner.
It's so weird, though. I mean, I know you've seen it, and I think the first couple that gets engaged, spoiler alert, it was so... I understand what they're trying to prove. Right. I understand what they're trying to prove, and I think it is wonderful that people spend that much time talking to someone. I encourage you, when you're dating, talk to the person, obviously, but to put such a rush on it and, where's the time for you to grow as a couple? Where's the time for you to really go through things that let you know that you are willing to marry this person?
This idea of positive illusion, this thing, it does not occur in like a social vacuum.
Right.
Because the world comes in and it bombards you with different messages. You have the social norms and the social rules and everything else. You have your friends, your family, your coworkers. Yeah. All of this stuff interferes and pretty much guides you. Okay, this is how a relationship is supposed to work, or the direction you should be going in, or they may see something wrong with this other person and you take that in. That doesn't happen here because they have no outside influence, which puts you in a small group of other people of like mind. And again, they want to get married. They are rooting for you to get engaged. So guess what happens? You go along with it.
And to make matters worse, this is somebody's life that they're playing with. I don't think the creators and producers really understand what kind of pain they could be causing somebody. This is their entire life they're about to embark on with some barely known stranger. Yeah, like, are you kidding me? And what's nuts is that nobody said, holy shit, this is too much for me. That's the thing that got me.
Well, at least they didn't show it.
Right, because as soon as they said that, I would be like, I gotta fucking go. This is stupid. I'm not doing this.
Yeah. According to the producer, I think at the end of the show, he's, at least according to Entertainment Magazine, online edition, a total of 8 couples got engaged. So there's only 4 people that did not stick around and make that connection.
And then you probably go home feeling like shit because the whole entire object was to get married or engaged and you're still single.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest problem that I've come across, because I have worked with people who truly believe that there is something innately wrong with them, and that is why they cannot find somebody.
Yep.
Here's one example. I worked with them, probably 10 years ago. And when I was talking with him and I was trying to get to the root of the problem as to why he believes he cannot find somebody to get into a relationship with, is because he was shorter than average. He was under 5 feet. It was like 4'11".
Yeah.
But when he was in elementary school, he told me that he would ask a girl if she would be his girlfriend, and she just they laughed at him. They outright rejected him. And I asked him about that instance. Well, she was with her friends, and of course, you're in elementary school, you're with your friends, you don't want to be kind of called out like that. So yeah, they're probably going to reject you. Well, then he goes to junior high. Same thing.
God, it only probably got worse.
It got worse as it went through. Gets to high school. Well, people are a little bit more mature about it and everything. They really don't want to like take a dagger to your heart, but they're just like, no. Now, even though he wasn't told why, he filled in that why himself. It's because I'm short, because I'm not really, I don't have a whole lot of muscle mass on me. I mean, he was kind of thin. Well, goes to college, asks out several people that he kind of knows, was introduced to. Again, rejection. Now, you go and watch this show, and this one female, at the very last minute, she was rejected. She's having like a breakdown. What's wrong with me? That can be like it can be a lifelong thing. She's going through it and she can't pinpoint what's wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you.
They don't even seem to provide like counselors. You know what I mean? Like they don't seem to provide any help for these people. Right. If you're going to intensely date and I want you to picture this, 5 to 6 hours a day they spend talking and quote unquote dating people. You need some help. You need some psychological evaluation because your mind is going to be warped. I mean, you have to take in all that information. You have to divulge a bunch of shit about yourself you probably never want to divulge until you're actually married. You have to get so deep, like for so long. It seems mentally taxing to me.
Yeah. And the thing about this is that there's a self-esteem thing that builds here because, again, you're cut off from the world. You're talking to one person. You can't hear anybody else. You cannot hear what they are talking about. So you're directly talking to this one person. They're being positive. You're being positive. So your self-esteem goes up. You exit the little pod area and you go back to where all the girls are or where all the guys are. And you're talking about these really intense conversations that you're having. And everybody's like, oh, wow, it sounds like you made this really great connection. Do you think it's going to ask? Are you going to ask her? Are you going to get married to? Do you think you're going to? So your self-esteem's going up even more. And then at the last minute, you're not chosen. They want this other person.
Just completely, that would completely destroy me. Especially, and the worst part is, when they do talk about it, I mean, and you saw some of the confessionals that they did, you know, some of these women and some of these men were in love with the same thought they were in love with the same person. So you're you're not only in competition mode, but you're also in friendship mode. And then there's the impending wedding that's happening. I mean, there's so much going on. And it seems like nobody gives a shit about these people's lives after. They just want to make the money.
Right. And the self-esteem thing that I was talking about, that comes from yet another study. And that one was done by two groups, one in 91 and another group in 95. Lang and Rusbold was the one that did that second study that kind of built on the first one. But there was another study, this researcher, his name was Lee, did in 91, where people, when you get to intensely know somebody and people ask you about your relationship, almost 80%, somewhere between 75 to 80% of everybody describe their relationship or their marriages in very positive terms. There's nothing wrong, especially in the beginning. I mean, think about it. When you first meet somebody and you're in that quote unquote honeymoon phase,
everything's wonderful.
Everything's
They're
wonderful.
Like God.
That person is the best you've ever known. Yeah.
Right. Like, you've never met anybody like this. You know, they are the smartest, they are the cutest, they are the funniest, they are the everythingest for you.
And there was, even later on in 2007, there was yet another study. And this was done by, it was led by this guy. His last name is Swami. I think there was like 12 people on that study. The overall ratings and the attractiveness and everything else, it was just like off the charts. Nobody describes their marriage or their relationship in negative terms.
No, you don't want to do that. You never want to trash. And people can be in the worst relationships ever and still be like, we're great.
Yeah, everything's fine.
Right. Like, and then next thing you know, they're divorced and you're like, I thought everything was fine. Well, guess what?
Yeah. The only people that they will ever say anything negative about their relationship to is like their very closest friends. But yeah, you do have some of the outliers out there, but the vast majority of people all refer to their relationship as being positive. And you see it in the show. Because after they leave the pod and they are now engaged, guess what? Oh, everything's fine. Oh, I love you so much. Oh, this and that. But there's really only one couple so far. Only one have I seen where they are actually looking down the road at the challenges that they are going to face.
I literally don't think any single one of those people has a fucking brain in their head, because
I don't think they have a chance, to tell you the truth.
There's no way that you can, there's no way you can agree to marry somebody just for having 5 or 6 conversations. Me and John talk 4 to 5 hours at a time.
We talk continuously.
And I could
it's
never.
It's either through text, email, or we are online talking with each other, or we're talking on the phone. And we have these conversations about relationships.
Right. I mean, and we talk, and I just can't imagine, trying to make that an intimate thing. I can't imagine sitting down and talking to a fucking wall for hours. It's a beautiful love story if this was a movie, if this was fake, if this was not someone's real fucking life, it would be adorable. But these people are going to have, they're talking about all kinds of things, and they're not realizing when you marry someone, not only do you marry them, you marry their fucking family.
Right. And now I've had really good relationships to the point where I was like on the tipping point. Am I in love with them? Am I not in love with them and stuff? And we have never seen each other. This is like over social media or a social media type site where we're just messaging each other back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I never got to that actual tipping point where I could say yes.
Right.
And I've been talking to one person for over 2 years, but we have come to the realization that's really not going to happen.
Right. And it just, to me, there's no way that you could agree to, I just can't imagine thinking that far down the line with someone and never seeing their face. And I get the point of the study. I get that they're trying to prove that looks don't matter, but dude, they do.
They do. There was yet another study done in 91 by a researcher and a group of other researchers, his name is Brewer, where they do a comparison of relationships and the effect with how strong it is and the increasing intimacy that somebody can feel without actually seeing the other person.
Right.
And those feelings do become very, very intense to the point where, yes, you do believe you are in love with somebody. But again, these are like small studies. They didn't like lock them away for 10 days and take away all outside contact and stick them with a bunch of other people who have the same mindset.
Mm-hmm.
The last time something like this was done on a massive scale, we went into World War II over it.
True.
I mean, everybody's of the same mindset. All outside communication was filtered and everything else. So,
yes.
Yeah. So only.
I would like to preface this with, obviously, the show's not as bad as the Holocaust, but emotionally, it's draining.
Yeah, but it's of that same mindset where people are isolated from what's really and truly going on outside. So everybody starts beginning to believe the same way.
It's insane. It's really, really disheartening to me. And I think the one thing, or I keep saying the one thing, but this one thing irks the fuck out of me is the fact that, like I said, they chose relatively good-looking people. And the reason that irks me is because I can't imagine if they would have chosen someone who wasn't traditionally beautiful. The look, the utter shock, the disappointment on someone's face if they walked out and they weren't physically attracted to them.
Right. But even with that, there was another study that was done, and I think I've got like all these studies sitting in front of me, so I'm trying to make sure I get the right one. I think it was by Rusbold in 2000. And this one, they looked at that, even if the person is not of your, let's say, caliber or your expectation, because you have such intense feelings for them, you're initially going to overlook that.
Mm-hmm. So they start getting on your nerves, and then you're like pinpointing shit about people. And that's another thing. I never hear anyone say anything negative on that show. Nobody talks about like the important shit, you know, like the pet peeves that people have. Because if you, like, for instance, I have a pet peeve of people dragging their feet. If I fall in love with you, quote unquote, and then every day you're dragging your fucking feet, it's going to drive me nuts. It just seems like there's so much being left out that it's unhealthy.
Yeah. And I know the producer said that these people, they talk for like hours on end all day long.
Ugh.
So, but they can only show so much. But even then, you talk about dragging the feet. Me, it's like destroying the house. Laundry everywhere, dishes left out, stuff like that. That gets on my nerves. So if I'm sitting there, I'm talking with somebody, and we start talking about pet peeves or some stuff that annoys us. Mm-hmm. If you feel a deep connection with somebody and you're sitting there and you really don't want to like offset them, even if they say, well, yeah, I'm pretty much like a messy person. I'm on the other end of the spectrum there. You're going to rationalize in your head, especially if you feel attraction to them or some kind of attractiveness. Oh, that's okay. I can live with that. I've done it. Because I was watching the show and I was like, yeah, I've done that.
Yeah. No, we all do it. I mean,
we all do
and
it.
that's exactly what's wrong, is that we all do this. We will make excuses after excuses after excuse for somebody just because we like them, even if their personality is just a giant red flag. And I'm telling you, that's why this show is so aggravating to me, because it's all red flags. The fact that someone was willing to go blindly meet you, you know, like the fact that we're here together lets me know that you're hyper-focused on marriage and not hyper-focused on happiness.
Yeah, here, actually, I found another study that supports it. Murray Holmes in 1994.
Yeah, what's going on there, buddy?
Okay, when a person is confronted with evidence of a frailty of the person that they're talking to, many of us will turn those faults into veritable virtues.
Well, if you think about it this way, yeah, he cheats on me, but if you think about it, he's really just showing how versatile he is with other women. You know? Like,
yeah, he cheats on me, but look at the life he's given me.
Right. Like,
or it could be, yeah, she cheated on me, but man, I mean,
she's a great mother.
Yeah, she's a great mother. Look, she's a great mother. She's a knockout. People, all my buddies are jealous.
Right.
And when we do get it on, it's friggin' amazing.
Right, yeah. She sleeps with everyone. That's why she's so good at it. I mean,
Yeah.
and when they just...
But even people's body parts, even if they have like a major thing that just, it's not working for you. They're not big enough. They're not tall enough.
Right.
They have too much weight. They look like a walking toothpick. It doesn't matter. These people are going, I love this person. They're the most beautiful person in the world. And that happens on the show.
Yeah, and it doesn't sit well with me. Something about it, you could be walking into you don't even have time to Google these people. I Google everybody I date. You know what I mean? Like, I'm straight up going through your shit. I want to see your arrest record. Obviously, I'm sure the producers, the background checks and everything. But still, I want to see your social media life. I want to see the person that you were. I want to see the person that it looks like you're going to be. I want to see who you are now, because those things are what's important. I mean, you can just lie your ass off for 5 hours.
One of them did.
You know, like, it just...
The guy who didn't come totally clean with the person that he was talking to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She was pissed. I mean, she actually tried to go back and talk to him, but he had already sank into a mindset that, nope, you're going to do what everybody else has done.
And that's why intimacy, physical intimacy is so fucking important, because physical intimacy will really just kind of relieve you. There's nothing like a good hug. There's nothing like, cuddling with somebody. None of that stuff. And to not be able to engage in physical intimacy, I mean, in a realistic amount of time before you guys agree to get engaged is fucking crazy, because energy is everything. It's fucking crazy.
Well, that's that, you not only have like a intellectual rapport with somebody, you have a physical rapport with somebody, and both of them have to line up. Now, to be fair, these people, once they come out of the pods, they send them to this exotic location, and which is
awesome.
Which is friggin' awesome. They've got everything. It's like a 5-star, 5-diamond hotel. Right. They're going on like their own private yacht and everything else. But again, the whole thing is geared towards forcing a situation. Now, I'm going to tell you, you go out with me, we're not going to like a 5-star, 5-diamond hotel for a fucking week and going out on private yachts. I just don't have the cash for it.
Even if I did, I'm not doing that. I just met you. What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh yeah, our very first date, we're going to another country.
Yeah, right. Like, let's get on my jet.
Wait a minute. Yeah, how much you getting paid for me?
Right. Right.
I mean, it's not going to happen. And still, they do not have their parents don't know where they are. One guy lost his job.
That's what I'm saying. Like, bro, that's nuts to me. First of all, how the fuck do you have that much off time at work? Are you a teacher? Do you have like, you know what I mean? There's that question. Also, it's like rehab. And the reason I'm not a fan of rehab is because of one thing. It removes you from life completely. And so it's like you're removed from life for the next 30 to 45 fucking days. Like, what the fuck? Of course everything's going to be perfect. You send me and just about anyone to a 5-star hotel and dining resort.
We're going to have fun.
Yeah. What do you mean? Like, we get wasted, like we're hanging out. Of course shit's good.
Oh yeah, they had rose petals draped all over the place, little rose petal hearts, the champagne, chocolate covered strawberries.
Right. Of course shit's great.
Jacuzzis. I mean
what about when the person's late on their rent and shit? You know what I mean? Like, you are not struggling with this person. You can't marry somebody who you've never struggled with. I don't believe in that.
And there was one of the girls, she was in love with this other guy, and he decided to go with somebody else. So she went with the only other person that she kind of, I could probably see this.
Right, I guess.
Well, then they actually meet, and she's not physically attracted to him. Mm-hmm. So
who would have foresaw that coming?
Yeah, who would have saw that coming? The reason you pay attention to somebody initially is because they are physically attractive. It's undeniable. You can't separate that. Yeah, I look at somebody. Ooh, yeah, they're cute. So I talked to
online
him.
dating is safer than what the fuck they just pulled on Netflix. Honestly, online dating, because at least with online you can see them. I think it is so stupid not to be able to see somebody, because like you said, the one girl walked out and she was disappointed. Now
she wasn't just disappointed. She was like in tears.
Right. I've just spent 10 hours falling in love with you, and then we walk out and you're like, you're not attractive enough.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go kill my fucking self.
Yeah, I think she was, she talked with him for 9 days, and
That's
these
ridiculous.
are not like short conversations. It's like they talk to half the group for one full day, and then they talk to the other half the next full day. And then they go, so they're flipping back and forth. So it's like every other day, you're spending hours with this person talking about everything. I spend 12 hours a day with a very small group of people. And yeah, we talk about everything.
Right. That's a lot of time to be spending with someone when you first meet. That's so much fucking time to be spending with someone when you first meet them. It's too much time, honestly, because then, it's like going from smoking weed to smoking crack. You know what I mean? Like, you are around them so fucking much that it's going to get to a point where you can't get away from them. And then when your life does happen and you guys start talking less and less, shit's going to get rough.
Right. And here's, on this whole marriage thing, just going through these endless studies here. The Murray Holmes research that was done in 97, they talk about making the leap of faith. Okay, so now we're getting to the point where these people are actually proposing and the other person is actually accepting it. There's a construct of illusionary or idealistic images of their partner, because any of their faults that they may have, your mind automatically fills those blanks in. It's kind of like when you're watching a movie, and if the movie's supposed to take place for a year, they show a couple of months and then they skip forward another few months later. Your mind fills in the gap. It's the same thing. Your mind is filling in the gaps.
Stockholm syndrome shit to me too. Or like Silence of the Lamb, where you're stuck in that like basement, and it's like it dates the guy in the pod, or else it gets the hose again. Like it just feels so forced and so uncomfortable and so fucking stupid. And it just doesn't seem like the right way to go about dating.
Yeah, and even though you know that there's negative consequences that could be involved, your mind goes in the direction in which you want it to go. So if you want to get married and you know that this person on the other side of this wall, they want the same thing, and both of you are coming together and going, yes, 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 yes. Okay, well, I can put up with that. No. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, well, I'm not too sure about that, but I can live with it. Yes, 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 yes. And then you're meeting all these other people who are of the same like mind. Guess what? Even though you know that there could be negative consequences, you're willing to go with it anyways in the hope of where you want to go. That's what researchers found out, and that's what the show is based on, is this research that was done. And unfortunately, these type of relationships really don't work in the long run, because as time passes, that's why I'm saying these people are going to get married. At the end of the show, they are on the altar. They are at the altar.
That's insane. That's fucking insane.
Yeah. And just from one of the little preview clips, the minister or the officiator is sitting there going, "Do you agree to this union?" And both of them either say yes or no. And if they say yes, he goes through with it, and they are then married.
Ugh.
I mean, oh my God.
And then one day, one of them is going to wake up and be like, what?
How did I get here?
Right.
I mean, you're not exactly what I thought you were. I mean, for any one of these couples that gets married, I imagine they're probably going to pop up in some entertainment magazine or something else like that. Kind of like with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. And they get married and everything, and like a year and a half later, they're on the cover of People magazine going through this massive divorce.
I can't believe this. And then they're going to be like, we rushed into it. You don't fucking say.
Yeah, you don't say. That was the whole premise of the show.
Right. The whole premise is literally get married.
Rush this.
Yeah. we're expediting the dating process, and we're gonna pick 10 people, and you're gonna talk to them all day. And
but that's one of the reasons that I really don't like those, The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Marry a Millionaire and stuff. Well, there's 25 people out there, and you got this one person, and they're going through, and they're picking this person, picking that. Okay, what about the ones that weren't picked? And they're left with the same thought, what's wrong with me? I thought we had such a good connection.
I'm not that person. So to me, it seems like you're unnecessarily fighting over someone. So I'm not going to sit here, in a hot tub with 25 other women and hope you pick me. Eat a dick. Like, no, move on. I'm not the one.
I can keep going through these different research studies. The Swan study done in 94, where there's a delusion that goes in, and there's groundless flattery that happens, and it just draws you in. And that's why I keep reiterating in almost every show that we've done where we talk about relationships. When I start talking with somebody, I have zero expectations. That way, if it doesn't work, I didn't risk anything, and neither did they. Either they can accept me for who I am, or they don't. Really, the loss is on them. And
I agree.
I cover that in the courses that we have, where if you have zero expectation, you risk nothing.
Expectations are just resentments in the making. That's all they are.
I just have a real big problem with this show because they are messing with people's lives. This is stuff where people have actually committed suicide over this because
that's my thing. Like, so damning.
Yeah, there's so many things, and it could be just one statement from one person from years ago that really affect a person and how they see themselves, and whether they self-sabotage a relationship, or they enter into a relationship, or they can't find a relationship. And it could be because of one person years ago. Can't tell you how many people I've worked with, and we've dug into their past to find the root cause of why they can't have a relationship. And it's one or two instances that could have happened when they were a kid, could have happened in a prior relationship, a prior marriage, whatever. And from then on, they just have this self-perception that I'm not dateable, I'm not worthy, there's something innately wrong with me.
Yeah, and it's so heartbreaking to watch people go through that. And, we really do our best to try and deep dive with you. When we work with people, we try our best to really just deep dive and get you over that mentality, because it's heartbreaking as a person. Even when you see your friends go through it, it's heartbreaking to hear and it's heartbreaking to see, and nobody deserves to feel like that.
Yeah, that's why I saw the show and I was like, I don't know. I'll give it a shot. So I went ahead and watched, and I was like, oh, well, okay, this is kind of interesting. Well, wait a minute, I know this study. Because, this is what I do. This is what I've studied this stuff since the early...
Encyclopedia fucking Brown.
So, but I was like, I'm familiar with this study. And then I saw where they put the time frame on it. I was like, oh, this isn't going to be good. And I was like, well, it's never really been done this way. And then I started seeing the outcomes, and I was like, no. Right. No. And
as soon as the first guy got on his knee, I go, are you kidding?
Within like 2 or 3 days, I think. I was like, what the hell?
Get up, buddy. Get up. I'm like, please stop. Please don't say yes. Please don't say yes.
And then you had the one who was torn between 3 people, because he was on camera, but he was literally sitting there going, I don't know if I want to get married. If you have that question, if you don't know,
you shouldn't get married. No. Right. The answer is no. If I say, I don't know if I want the steak, but this chicken looks really good, I'm not going to sit here and ponder about which one I'm going to get. You don't want to get married. You're scared. You should be fucking scared, because if you are confidently falling in love with somebody over the course of 3 days, but you have a self-esteem issue.
That's why I just say, let's do contract marriages. Okay, we'll go. Okay, you guys are married for 6 months, and if it's still working out, you can go ahead and come in and renew.
Right. We'll check in. We'll check in with you in 6 months. That's just, it's, I guess, when you think about them setting their intention and everything, that makes sense. But it's the way that it's handled that just is so poorly executed.
Just the neglected factors that the show removes. And yeah, they kind of slowly introduce it here. They introduce it there. Okay, you never saw each other. Now you see each other, but you're already engaged. Then we're going to send you out into so-called world. Well, you're in another country, Adam, where everything is taken care of for you. Okay, now we're going to send you back home. And then, okay, now we're going to kind of, so you can go back to work and all this other stuff. Yeah, if I went on this show and I go back to work, you know what I want to hear for the next 12 hours?
Yeah.
Dude, are you fucking nuts?
Right.
But here's this positive illusion. Oh, everything is fine. Everything's great. They're the best you will ever know.
Stupidest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. It's crazy. I can't even imagine my family's reaction if I went on that show. They might everybody would make fun of me, obviously. And I mean, I just can't imagine.
Well, everybody goes into this show with, it's an experiment.
You gotta be a special type of lonely. Honestly, you have to be a special type. And this is coming from someone who deals with a lot of loneliness issues and whatnot. But you need a therapist. If you're willing to go that quick, that fast.
Well, that's just it. They didn't know they were going to go that fast. They just knew that this was like a dating relationship experiment. They didn't know they were going to get married until they told them.
That's why I don't know why they stuck around.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as they said that, I would have I'm out of here.
There's no way. I would have thrown up and ran away. I don't give a shit. It could be the most beautiful person in the world on the other side of there. There's no way I can marry somebody. I'm telling you, there's things you have to do with somebody
not within
before
40
you marry
days.
them.
That's not going to happen.
No, there's no way. First of all, I don't even think I could afford a wedding in 40 days. I get it. The show pays for it, but then
I might be able to pay for the just the piece.
Yeah. I got $20 to the courthouse, but that's about it, I just can't imagine. And then you have to go back to your lives, and now you're going back to another life too. You know what I mean? You've just doubled everything, and I can't physically imagine it without my stomach hurting.
Yeah, there's so many other studies that go into the results of all of this stuff, and pretty much none of the results are good. I mean, none of them. I mean, I think there was one study that had a positive result. Now, there are positive side results, such as increased self-esteem if the guy proposes, but if he rejects you, guess what? There's a huge negative downside.
Right. There's so many downsides. It just doesn't seem like the benefits outweigh the cost.
Okay, so you don't go through with the wedding, but you are still strongly emotionally attached to this person. You're never going to forget them for the rest of your life. And guess what? Everybody else that you go out with, you're going to end up doing a comparison. How many people have we gone out with that we are comparing our current partner with a person that we've known 5 years ago?
Right.
That happens. It's just part of human nature. Because the only reason we ever enter into a relationship with anybody is one, either they are somewhat like us or we want to become more like them. Anybody who doesn't fit one of those two categories, we really don't hang out with them.
No. Yeah. This is weird. This entire show is fucking weird. I think that's pretty much it for part one. I think we've kind of ripped the show to shit. I want to finish the next week's episodes, which come out tomorrow, before we rip this shit into part two. Because I have a lot of issues with everything. I think that the next part is the engagement part, the engagement honeymoon phase part.
Yeah, I think it drops tonight.
Yep. Yeah, the 20th. I'm pretty excited about that shit. So I would love to, after we watch that, we can record part two, because clearly there's so many more problems, and I just really very disappointed.
Really, there are so many different studies done on this stuff. I mean, it's huge, and really, when you get into these studies and you see that there is a factual basis that goes behind it. I mean, this isn't quasi science. I mean, this is stuff that has been in depth researched.
People spent their time doing this nonsense.
It goes all the way back. Just what I have in front of me goes all the way back to 1978. but there are studies that go all the way back, even further back than that. We're talking
further.
like 1915.
Right. Before the DSM was fucking written and all that stuff. Before psychology was even a thing, we were worried about love because love is important and love is something that we all need. It's in the, the hierarchy of needs. I think it's on the bottom, at least the second row.
There's interpersonal attraction, which was done by Burstein and Walster back in 1978. So, that was, oh my gosh. But I have so many problems with this show. And there's other dating shows that are out there on Netflix that I've kind of watched. And even some of those, I'm just like...
Dating shows in general are just problematic as fuck.
Yeah, it's great for the drama and all that other stuff. But I don't really watch them for the drama. It's more like... Unfortunately for myself, I'm very analytical, so it's very...
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Looking for...
Your brain probably just like...
I'm just like picking it apart. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, no, he's attracted to you. What are you doing? I'm like, you missed it.
Right. You missed the signs. Clearly. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. All right, cool. So, guys, keep a lookout for part 2 as we go into this. It might be a 3-part series because there's 3 parts being released. As we go into this terribly problematic show, just a little heads up for you guys. We're building out our little courses and we're getting our stuff on the pony. We even found a learning system. So it's coming all together.
Yeah. That searching for the LMS was like, I think we spent 2 months on that.
Right. Yeah. We have all this stuff put together and we're like, where the fuck do we put it now?
Yeah. If you want to get out there and you want to sign up for our course, and this is just a pre-registration. You can go out to our site where you can pre-register. We're not going to spam you. We're not going to do a whole bunch of stuff. You're going to get 2 emails. The first one is saying that you are on the list. Mm-hmm. The next email that you will get is, here's the link. You can now sign up.
Yep. Sign up. If you want to learn how to do this right and you don't want to have to end up in a pod talking to somebody for 6 hours a day because you're just at your wit's end with dating, we highly recommend it. As always, with anything, if you have any questions, you want to know something, of course, send us an email. Check out our website. John's done some pretty cool updates on it. So always check that out. Thanks for listening.
And we will talk to you on the next one.
That's all for this episode of the Girls Ask Guys show, where all of us learn to master this thing called life together. For more answers to your questions on life and love, be sure to subscribe to the show so you don't miss a single episode. And head to girlsaskguyshow.com to submit your questions for a future episode or apply to be a guest on the show. Good luck out there, and we'll catch you next time, right here on the Girls Ask Guys show.